How does the heart circulate blood? We have talked about the heart being one part of a double circulatory system, and we've looked at the structure of the heart in terms of labeling, where we're able to label the four chambers of the heart, and I'm going to label them once more. So here we have the right atrium, right ventricle. Right, so right atrium is above the right ventricle. And the left atrium is above the left ventricle. The question is, how does the heart circulate blood? We're going to start from the right side of the heart where blood enters the heart, and blood is going to enter the heart through the right atrium. It's going to go down into the right ventricle. On being squeezed, that is, once the pump works, blood will be squeezed out of the right side of the heart, and this blood goes to the lungs. Now, why would blood need to go towards the lungs? Blood would go to the lungs in order to become oxygenated, that is, to gain oxygen gas. That means I want to classify the blood that goes into the right side of the heart, and I'm going to classify this blood as deoxygenated blood. So we see deoxygenated blood on the right side of the heart. This deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs, becomes oxygenated, and returns to the left side of the heart. And we're going to see it pouring into the left side of the heart here. When the left side of the heart squeezes, this blood will exit the heart and go to the body. That means if we have deoxygenated blood on the right of the heart, we're going to have oxygenated blood on the right hand side of, the left of the heart, right? So I'm looking at my hand and I'm saying right, but it's on the left of the heart. So let's go over this once more. Deoxygenated blood enters the right side of the heart where it is pumped to the lungs, where it gains oxygen gas, becomes oxygenated, and returns to the heart. When the left side of the heart pumps, this oxygenated blood goes to the body. Here I have a short note which describes what we were looking at in the diagram, where I'll read from the slide. Deoxygenated blood enters the right side of the heart. It flows from the right atrium to the right ventricle. This blood is pumped to the lungs where it becomes oxygenated. This oxygenated blood will return to the heart through the left side. It will flow from the left atrium to the left ventricle before it is pumped out of the heart to the rest of the body. You have to make sure and take down the notes. We're going to go back up to the diagram, and I'm going to point out one more fact if you didn't see it. Now, we say that the right side of the heart is a pump, and the left side of a heart is a pump. But let's look at our diagram, and we're looking at when the chambers contract. Right, so you're looking at my diagram. Do we see that the two upper chambers, which are the atria, contract, and we see that the two lower chambers, which are the ventricles, contract? While we say the right side of the heart is a pump and the left side of the heart is a pump, it doesn't mean the right side of the heart squeezes and then the left side of the heart squeezes. What actually happens is that all the chambers work together continuously in a coordinated effort, and that the atria contract at the same time and the ventricles contract at the same time. Let's look at it again. The right and left atrium contract at the same time, and the right and left ventricles contract at the same time. What do we see happening when the atria contract? When the right and left atrium squeeze, blood is pushed into the right and left ventricles. Look at it again. When the right and left ventricles squeeze, blood is pushed out of the heart. Right, so blood fills into the right and left atrium. We see it filling in. It squeezes. Blood goes down to the right and left ventricles. When the right and left ventricles squeeze, blood is pumped out of the heart. So once again, let's say the right atrium squeezes. This will push blood into the right ventricle. When the left atrium squeezes, this will push blood into the left ventricle. When the right ventricle squeezes, this will push blood out of the heart to the lungs. When the left ventricle squeezes, this will push blood out of the heart to the body. Now let's take it down in a note. This is the short note that I have prepared on what happens when atria contract and ventricles contract. You are to take this note down into your book and make sure that you understand how the heart works in terms of the pumps when the atria contract and when the ventricles contract. In the next video, we will look at this information and we will be more specific in terms of identifying the blood vessels attached to the heart, and I'll be using the names of these blood vessels to talk about how the heart works.